Welcome to Flory Models Daily Vlog. Here we are on Tuesday the 25th of August 2015, and a good old day for me. Spent most of it down here, been working on the actual bike itself, as we can see, coming together really nicely. I love using the metallizers. I'm using both types. I know it's been spoken a lot recently, but to be honest, they're over here behind me. Polished aluminium tends to be the colour that I'm using most with the bike, but I'm also using the Vallejo ones as well because actually they're the Dur aluminium, absolutely lovely colour. Using that bits and pieces all over this one, all over the place. And to be honest, another weird one is this stuff. Now this is this gloss. If you've seen the review, you'll know I said it smells like a perfume factory. It's really nice, and I've actually made a batch up because I've mixed XF85 and a 50-50 mix with this stuff, so it acts like a thinner to it. And to be honest, we've done all the plastic work. All of this down here is in this colour, which is quite a nice one because it gives it a sort of a satin flat look, but it gives us this sort of plasticky look that we're actually after. Right the way all over the bike. But you might be able to see front forks down here. Now admittedly this is the upgrade set, so this is metal, this is plastic, but this is that AK stuff. Down on here, polished aluminium. The thing is, after I've been using all of these paints, primer is your absolute key to this. Okay, so a couple of options. To be honest, I've been using the black base, the AK one. It's really nice. It goes down, it dries very quickly, very smooth, and gives an overall very nice finish. But also I've been using Stynel Res as well. Been using this one. They both grip to it, they both do an amazing job, which you know, is what you need, because without it you tend to get that little bit of separation, especially with the actual Vallejo stuff. So if you don't prime, it tends to tear. It looks like a tear in there, and obviously some of these parts are black, as you can see down on the sprues. So when you just put on a coat of metallizer over the top, if you go a little bit too heavy, it gets too wet, it actually tears and you can see the blackness in there. Don't panic. Light misty coat, dry. Well, yeah, if you double action airbrush, go one wet, one dry, as in with paint, with just air, dry back, and then just make little light passes over them, and it'll go absolutely fantastic. But I don't know how well the camera can pick this up, but you see at different angles. But spot what's what. I'll give you a few clues. This actually is the metallizers done by Vallejo, all on the actual this back area, and as you can see, it's absolutely stunning. The block, the various other bits and pieces on this, as we can see around here, they're actually done. This one down here is it's actually a bit of a mix of this stuff, the Dur aluminium, and I've used the metallizer ones as well from AK to do it. So it's a little bit of a hybrid all the way around, and it's quite nice because from my point of view, I'm like, you know, getting used to using both of them, seeing what the limitations are, what's good. But I have to say, now I'm actually using the Vallejo acrylics. If you build it up very slowly, and I mean really slowly, you can get basically the same effect as you can with the AK stuff. If you want to be a bit like me, a bit lazy, just want to put a coat on, it will do it, don't get me wrong, but you'll get a tiny bit of grittiness in your paintwork. And by grittiness, I just mean it's the actual the texture to it. It's obviously the pigment, the fleck that's actually in these metallizer paints. Obviously lacquers, we've spoken about before, it's a lot finer, the way it lays, it doesn't have any problem. When you're dealing with an acrylic, it's a thicker paint and all the rest of it, then obviously you're going to have a bit. The other big thing is with all of them, make sure you mix them really well. Okay, you want to give them a good old mix up, a good shake to make sure they're thoroughly mixed, because that's the other thing as well. I found you get a lot more tearing, but once you've mixed them up properly, i.e. you got the stuff all off the bottom of these, then you'll be absolutely fine. It could be worth sticking in an agitator in these, as in like I use a marine grade stainless steel nut, okay, but make sure it is marine grade so it doesn't rust, okay, because I know some of you had trouble when you've put in a normal one and you've ended up with a rusty mess, okay. But generally really getting on with this one. Part one went up yesterday, and at the moment I'm just about to get the front fork set on it, then we can get going on the wheels, and it's really coming together. Hopefully I'll have this thing done by the end of the week, because I think another good run with it tomorrow will be absolutely fine, we'll be well on track. Down here you can see we've opened up the holes. It's one of the things you think you wouldn't have to do it with Tamiya, but you do. So we have to go around there and open up all the pinholes and everything else like that. But generally having a lot of fun. The screws are so small, I haven't got a screwdriver that fits it, and their screw doesn't do it either, so that's a little bit of a downside to it. But generally I have to say it's absolutely fantastic. But if you are thinking about doing this one, definitely invest in this front fork set, because this front fork set is absolutely brilliant, and you try and do that. This on here, to be honest, is the metal front fork set. This isn't Tamiya just being clever, they've used it as well on theirs, okay, so it definitely is a bit of a must with this one. But as I said, using metallizers on this, I'm really enjoying every minute of it. So anyway, Thursday, we said it'd be a few of your questions. Some of these we spoke about on the live show, but I know some of you don't watch the live show, so you wouldn't have actually heard your answer. But basically, on the Tuesday now, what I'm going to do is, to make this up, give us about a 10-minute show on Tuesday. You post your questions to me, so if you just do it via the contact me page on the main site and just put in the title description Tuesday's questions, and that means I will then print them off and keep them safe until we do today's show and things like that. Okay. So the first one was from Michael. We know we answered this one the other day on the live show, so sorry if we're recapping. Brilliant show as always, blah, blah, blah. I'm creating a diorama of the German offensive during the Battle of the Bulge. I want it to appear as if it's been raining and a wet look, i.e. vehicles, soldiers, helmets, etc. Trees. I'm wondering what you might create a realistic finish. Now, me and Steve both spoke about this obviously on the Tuesday live show last week, but basically we were saying that from our point of view, a gloss will give you the wet look, but what you want to do is not overdo it. Okay, so what you actually want to do is just do certain areas, i.e. don't make everything look wet, otherwise you're going to be in that situation of like everything's just going to look glossy and it's not going to look correct in the scale. You want to make it probably look like it has been raining, but perhaps not now. All right, so that way you get dry areas and wet areas, so you can make puddles with gloss and all the rest of it. Couple of things to watch. Obviously, go back and watch the live show and you'll get that full answer in that in depth where Steve talks about it a lot as well. The other thing as well is go and have a look at my World War I tank build. To be honest, I should have got it out before we started, but it's over there in my display case. That's covered in wet effects all over it, and all I used was standard gloss, neat from the bottle, and I made puddles with it and I made wet spots on top of the tank, and there again it's not all over it, it's just in puddles, so it looks like it's collected in areas and it's got wet look to it rather than going right the way over it. So you might think about, okay, some foliage, you could put just some gloss onto leaves, okay, to give them a wet look, okay, and then perhaps some puddles around. But on armor, especially if you're thinking about obviously tanks, things like that, you don't want to just do it all in a gloss because otherwise it's just going to look silly. Just put specific areas, flat spots, gather points, things like that, okay, and do gloss spots like that, and that way it will go through. But you want to thin the gloss, don't use neat gloss, thin it a little bit so the capillary action goes, it self levels to everything like that, and you should have a go. But as I said, have a look at my World War I tank build and you'll see all about that. It's for the Tamiya motorized one because I did a full wet effect with that one. Okay, rescribing. Thanks for the new tutorial on rescribing raised details. Thanks a lot. What is your go-to scriber? Mark. Now, my go-to scriber is my lovely new tool case here. Out of my 3 scribers like we've got here, okay, my actual go-to scriber is this one. This is the cheap trumpeter one. But I find that it's got a beautifully sharp blade. I've had it now well over a year. I use it all the time and it's never failed me yet, okay? Also, the hook on it, I don't know if you noticed it, against the other 2, is a lot more. It's got a stronger angle, which means you can get right into the corners of wing roots and anything with a 90 degree. I can get this right in there and drag back, where the other 2 you're always going to have 1 or 2 mil away from how you can get in. Even more so with a P cutter, you've basically almost got like 6 or 7 mil before you can get into a right angle. These actually get right the way in there. Also, the trumpeter one is a thinner panel line, probably half than the traditional Tamiya P cutter. To be honest, the UMM one depends on how heavy you push it. If you do a nice little light line, it's a very shallow one, but definitely this is the thinner one. So if you want a thinner, more in scale panel line, then this is definitely the one to go to. Now, if I'm doing a rescribing job on something that's got big but very shallow panel lines, for instance, when we did the actual SU-27 build, then obviously the P cutter, because you need it to sort of all marry up, okay, and the P cutter is great for doing a straight line, no problem at all. You put it in and away it goes. But my go-to one, if I'm honest, is the trumpeter scriber, and as I say, I think they're about £5 and they're an absolute bargain, and grab yourself one of those. Okay, did you get sent your Vallejo paints? Or did you buy them? If so, where did you get them from? Jess. Right, Jess, to be honest, yes, I did buy mine. As you know, I don't actually get given anything. In fact, the members send me more these days than I do get from companies. Stein Red actually came from a member, but generally I do buy everything. As I say, the AK stuff I bought and the Vallejo I bought, and I got them both from Creative Models here in the UK. They are the importer for them, so I think that's why they get them, and then all the other companies get from there. Okay, so if you are looking for them, Creative Models in the UK, they carry the entire range of them. There is more colours than what I use, but I am a big fan of them now, and I love using them. So yes, so there we go, Jess, that's those. Okay. Seen a lot of reviews on the new Tamiya Mosquito saying that it's a great kit. Thank you for your honesty and mentioning all the downfalls it's had. Is it as good, or is the Hong Kong's model ones any better? Okay, a lot of people have asked me this one, that's why I've mentioned it and haven't given a name, because I've had lots of people say, yes, as you know, I will always give you an honest review. That's what I do. I will not sugarcoat anything like any of the magazines and other sites do, because they're given it. I don't, I buy mine. But the end of the day is I was just very disappointed with the kit. It's still a lovely kit, don't get me wrong, but I was just, if you do listen to other reviews, you think it's Tamiya's latest and greatest. It's not, it's just a standard Tamiya kit. There's nothing new about it, there's nothing amazing about it and anything else. And from my point of view, I just felt a little bit let down, because I always put Tamiya here and now they're not. They're down here and everybody else is around them. As far as I'm concerned, they're in, instead of being head and shoulders above every other model company, they haven't. They've just plateaued now, and we've spoken about this on the live show. I think that they've really just plateaued on an edge. They need to step it up if they're going to do it, but don't make big waves if you're not going to deliver. You know, some people have said that they perhaps shot this out a bit too quick and it's been forced out onto the market early, where I don't know. Who knows? But basically that's it. A lot of people saying the HK Models one is cheaper. Now, from a business point of view, it's not. They're both 150 quid. The full retail on these kits, they are both 150 pound, okay? It's just that online, people are stuck with them and they're trying to offload them, so they are cheaper. I think the same will probably happen with the Tamiya one over time. You're going to get various people sell them off cheaper as they get stuck with stock and things like that. Do I think the HK one's better? I have seen both. I can honestly say I saw the HK one before it was even in the UK. I saw one of the post-production test runs of it. I had a good look over it. It's a nice kit, don't get me wrong. It's got some pluses, got some minuses, but I still don't think it's as good as the Tamiya one. That's just my opinion on it. If I was going to buy one and spend the money, then obviously I would spend it on the Tamiya one rather than the HK one, but that's just a personal thing. And also don't forget, you're dealing with either the bomber version or the fighter bomber version, because they are two different models. You know, it's two different types of Mosquito. Do you want to do the fighter one? Then obviously go down the Tamiya route. If you want to do the bomber one, then obviously go down the HK route. Tamiya are going to release the bomber version as well. That is coming along. It's very evident looking at the sprues, and obviously when you look at the paperwork, it shows them all in there as well. Okay, so from my point of view, they are going to do both. It's just that I think the fit is probably going to be better with the Tamiya one. You know it's going to go together lovely. It's just those ejector pin marks absolutely drove me mad. Absolutely. I was just very disappointed with it, I suppose, and that's why I got a little bit miffed with that particular kit. So there we go, that's about it for today. Thank you for all your great questions. As I said, you got any more, post them up, put them on there. The only other one I will read out is that it's about 5 people send it to me, was why don't we have questions and answers on the YouTube page? Why don't we ever allow people to comment? Simple, there's too many idiots on YouTube as far as I'm concerned, and don't forget, this is primary. Our business is to support our members, and that's what we do. So we don't have questions and answers and everything else on different things. If you want to do it, then obviously come to us direct, and then if you're non-member, we'll try and get your question answered. But obviously members get primary, and obviously they get everything done for them, and they obviously have the forum and all the areas to chat about it rather than sticking it all over YouTube. But that's why we don't have any type of anything whatsoever on any of our YouTube videos, purely because obviously it's a member site. It is designed for the members, and the members have the forum. So there we go, that's it for this week. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you all tomorrow.